I'd just like to say that Carole and I are absolutely delighted by today's announcement and thrilled at the prospect of a wedding sometime next year.
Well, I'm not sure what I'm able to bring. It's what all these very brave ladies tell me.
Whispers of tension between the Middletons and Buckingham Palace have swirled for years. But now, Carole Middleton has made a move that no one, least of all Queen Camilla, saw coming. It's a decision so bold, so unexpected, that it has shaken the very foundations of royal harmony. Camilla, the seasoned royal strategist, has always played the long game. But Carole? She just rewrote the rules. And the fallout, let's just say it left Camilla fighting back tears in a moment no one anticipated. A royal power struggle no one saw coming. It all started when Kate Middleton first caught Prince William's eye, a love story that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. But behind palace doors, the reality was anything but magical. From the very beginning, Carole Middleton knew she had to tread carefully. The royal family wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for her daughter, and some made it painfully clear that Kate wasn't their idea of a perfect future queen. One person in particular had strong opinions: Camilla, now queen consort. In public, Camilla played her part well, offering smiles and polite words, but behind closed doors, it was a different story entirely. There were whispers, strategic conversations, and subtle power plays that left no doubt. Kate's presence was shaking things up. At first, it was all small gestures, offhand comments about royal traditions, quiet reminders that Kate came from a different world, a world far removed from aristocratic lineage. Carole, sharp and strategic, held her tongue. She wasn't about to start a war, but she also wasn't going to let her family be sidelined. Then came the wedding preparations, a moment every mother dreams of, a chance to help shape her daughter's big day. But as plans unfolded, tensions between Carole and Camilla reached a boiling point. Camilla wanted to maintain royal customs, to keep the planning strictly within palace control. She had been part of the aristocratic circle long before she officially joined the royal family, and she had no intention of letting the Middletons, a family of self-made success, take center stage. Carole, however, had other plans. She wasn't about to stand by and watch her daughter be dictated to. She had spent years ensuring Kate was prepared for the life ahead of her, and she wasn't going to let her be steamrolled. The quiet battle between the two women became impossible to ignore. Every decision, from the guest list to the seating arrangements, became a subtle tug-of-war. The tension simmered beneath the surface, hidden behind carefully practiced smiles. Even after the wedding, the rivalry didn't disappear. If anything, it only grew stronger. The Middletons, once seen as outsiders, had secured a place within the royal fold, but that didn't mean they were fully embraced. Power plays continued, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in grand gestures. Carole, fiercely independent and unwavering, refused to be sidelined, while Camilla, deeply rooted in royal tradition, wasn't willing to give up control. And now, the years of quiet battles, strategic moves, and behind-the-scenes influence have led to a moment no one saw coming. Carole Middleton has made a decision so bold, so unexpected, that it has sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. Camilla, a woman known for maintaining her composure, was left visibly shaken. Whatever Carole just did, it wasn't part of the royal playbook. And Camilla? She never saw it coming. But keep watching to discover how the story unfolds. The day Carole Middleton shook Buckingham Palace. On an otherwise ordinary morning, Carole Middleton stepped into Buckingham Palace. No royal fanfare, no flashing cameras, just a quiet entrance through the grand doors. To anyone watching, it appeared to be a routine visit. But what she carried with her? That was far from ordinary. For years, she had played her role carefully, offering smiles at the right moments, staying in the background when expected. But this time, she wasn't here for pleasantries. This time, she had come to shake the very foundations of the monarchy. She didn't come empty-handed. She came with proof, real, undeniable financial records that had never been seen before. These weren't just any bank statements or routine royal transactions. No, This was something far more sinister. Millions of pounds had been quietly shifting through secret accounts, hidden behind layers of shell companies, masked as legitimate investments. Private bank meetings in Switzerland, offshore transfers disguised under fake business names. This was money so carefully concealed that even financial experts had trouble tracking it. And at the center of it all, Queen Camilla. This wasn't just about money. The British monarchy is built on the image of service, duty, and trust. Royals aren't supposed to profit from their positions. They are supposed to serve. But if what Carole had just revealed was true, then this wasn't just a scandal. It was a direct betrayal of that trust. And the most shocking part? These secret funds weren't just sitting in hidden accounts. They were being used to make decisions. Decisions that had impacted Kate. Decisions that had made life increasingly difficult for the Middletons. The moment the documents hit the table, the air in the room changed. Phones buzzed, whispers spread like wildfire, and advisors hurriedly left, likely rushing to alert the right people. But the one person who remained frozen, Camilla. For decades, she had been the master of composure. She had survived relentless public scrutiny, weathered royal controversies, and emerged unscathed from scandal after scandal. But this time, something was different. Those who were in the room say they saw it, the flicker of shock, the split-second loss of control. Because Carole wasn't just making accusations. She had the names, the dates, the transactions, the secret meetings. She had it all. And the implications? They stretched far beyond finances. This was just the beginning. But what led to this revelation? Keep watching to uncover the truth. Camilla in trouble. Carole Middleton had noticed it for a while. Changes that seemed small on the surface but formed a troubling pattern when pieced together. Invitations to key royal events suddenly stopped arriving. Traditions that once kept Kate close to her family were quietly altered. Charities with Middleton connections lost royal backing with no explanation. It was subtle, but strategic, and at the center of it all, Camilla. But what happened next, no one could have predicted. Carole didn't just voice her concerns in private. She made sure the world knew. Within hours, the news had spread beyond the palace walls. Reports surfaced, journalists dug deeper, and royal commentators analyzed every detail. This wasn't just another wild rumor spinning through the tabloids. There were facts, names, and dates. And once the public caught wind of it, the reactions were intense. Some saw Carole as a fearless outsider daring to challenge the royal institution, exposing a carefully hidden power struggle. Others believed she had broken an unspoken rule, unleashing a storm that could shake the monarchy's foundation. But no matter which side people stood on, one thing was certain. This was a crisis unlike any other. Inside Buckingham Palace, the impact was immediate. Chaos erupted behind closed doors. Lawyers were called in, crisis teams worked overtime, and meetings stretched late into the night. The usual approach, stay silent and wait for the headlines to die down, wasn't going to work this time. The allegations were too specific, the implications too damaging. Even palace insiders, used to managing royal controversies, admitted this was different. And then, Camilla disappeared. No public appearances, no carefully worded statements, just silence. For someone who had spent years reshaping her image, going from the most controversial woman in the royal family to the Queen of England, this was a nightmare. The trust she had worked tirelessly to earn, the reputation she had fought to rebuild, it was all slipping away. And just when things seemed like they couldn't get worse, they did. Financial experts started digging. Questions arose about where certain funds were being directed. How far did this go? Who else was involved? And could this scandal extend beyond Camilla? The deeper they looked, the more concerning it became. The possibilities were endless, and none of them boded well for the royal family. The silent battle behind palace walls. Carole Middleton had watched for years, biting her tongue as her daughter Kate navigated the intricate and often ruthless world of the royal family. She had seen the quiet but deliberate ways the Middletons were being edged out, decisions made without their input, invitations that never arrived, and sudden shifts in tradition that distanced Kate from her own family. But Carole was done staying silent. This was no longer just about her daughter. This was about power, control, and a system that had operated in secrecy for centuries, until now. Inside Buckingham Palace, the fallout was immediate. The royal family had faced scandals before, but this was different. This wasn't an outsider threatening the institution. This was an internal power struggle playing out for the world to see. And for Camilla, the tears weren't just about the sudden exposure. They were about something far greater. For the first time since she stepped into royal life, she wasn't the one pulling the strings. The first cracks had appeared much earlier, back in 2013 when Prince George was born. A royal birth is always a major event, but George wasn't just any baby. He was the future king. The palace moved swiftly, setting up a strict routine with official nannies, advisors, and an entire team to oversee his upbringing. Every detail was controlled, except for Carole. She had raised 3 children of her own, knew the sleepless nights and restless toddlers, and naturally wanted to be involved. But one by one, the doors closed in her face. Royal tradition dictated that only those of royal blood had influence, and whispers behind palace doors suggested that Camilla had no intention of making an exception. Fast forward to 2015, Princess Charlotte's christening. It should have been a day of celebration, a moment for family to come together. The Middletons had planned a quiet gathering afterward, just a small, private moment to enjoy their grandchild. But at the last minute, everything changed. Royal protocol took over, the guest list was altered, and suddenly, the Middletons found themselves sidelined. Their role had been reduced to little more than bystanders at their own granddaughter's event. And inside the palace, those in the know pointed to the same source, Camilla's office. Some might dismiss these moments as minor inconveniences, but when strung together, they painted a clear picture. Invitations were lost. Last-minute schedule changes made it increasingly difficult for the Middletons to spend time with Kate and the children. Little by little, Carole saw the pattern, and she realized that no matter how hard she tried, she was being systematically pushed out. Then came Prince Charles's 70th birthday party in 2018, a grand affair attended by royalty and aristocrats from across the globe. Carole was there, playing her part, smiling as expected. But then, she overheard a conversation she wasn't supposed to. Camilla, surrounded by her wealthy, old-money friends, remarked, "New money?" in a tone that left no room for misinterpretation. It was a direct dig at the Middletons. Their success, their status, everything Carole had worked so hard to build. That was the moment it became clear. This wasn't just about tradition, it was about power, and Camilla was winning. Then came the pandemic, and behind the palace gate, something strange was happening. While the country was in lockdown, certain royal members, none of the Middletons, were still holding private meetings. And Camilla? Her influence only grew stronger. By early 2024, there wasn't even an attempt to hide the tension. At Prince Louis's school concert, it was on full display. Carole and Camilla stood on opposite sides of the room, barely acknowledging each other. The icy atmosphere wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a declaration. And that was when Carole decided she had had enough. She had played by the rules, stayed quiet, and allowed the Middletons to be pushed further into the shadows. But when she saw just how deep this went, how Camilla wasn't just influencing schedules, but controlling them, using wealth and power to decide who mattered and who didn't, she made her move. So, what exactly did Carole Middleton do? Stay tuned to find out. Containing the damage. Carole Middleton's revelations about Queen Camilla sent shockwaves through the British monarchy like never before. While the royal family had weathered scandals throughout history, from Henry VIII's many wives to King Edward's abdication, this crisis felt different. Within hours of Carole's statements, Buckingham Palace was in chaos. Senior advisors on holiday rushed back to London, while the Queen's private secretary held an emergency late-night meeting in the Green Drawing Room. The portraits of past monarchs loomed over them as they scrambled to contain the fallout. Phone lines buzzed with calls from world leaders and royals, straining diplomatic ties. Crowds gathered outside the palace, divided between Carole and Camilla. Social media exploded, forcing the palace to disable comments. Inside, tensions soared. Prince William, torn between duty and family, wrestled with the fallout. Insiders whispered of sleepless nights spent making calls, desperate for a resolution. The crisis rippled beyond personal relationships. Charities tied to Camilla saw donations plummet. Businesses connected to the royal family suffered as stock prices dipped and tourism declined. Even the Buckingham Palace gift shop saw fewer customers. Newspapers that once praised the monarchy now printed scathing criticisms. King Charles found himself torn, bound by duty to the crown, loyalty to his wife, and responsibility to his son. Letters between him and Princess Anne revealed deep anxiety about the future. The scandal reached Parliament, where lawmakers questioned royal finances. Some pushed for greater transparency, while others suggested modernizing royal protocols. For years, the palace had resisted change, but now the conversation could no longer be ignored. Talks of a family council surfaced, one where both royals and non-royals could discuss pressing issues. The monarchy had reached a turning point. Adapt or risk losing credibility. Behind closed doors, Queen Camilla's world unraveled. Once surrounded by eager allies, she was now met with silence. Invitations vanished, calls went unanswered, and even the prestigious horse show hinted she stepped back. Within the palace, distance grew. Staff remained polite, but detached. Her secretary transferred to Princess Anne's office, and her longtime driver retired without a word. At a charity event, photographers who had once eagerly captured her presence now turned their lenses elsewhere. Even a casual visit to the palace gift shop revealed an unsettling truth. Her portrait had been replaced by Kate. Each day, her world grew smaller. She skipped family dinners, opting to eat alone. At night, staff could hear her pacing in her private rooms. Conversations with those around her grew shorter, hesitation lacing every word. Her marriage to King Charles shifted too. He still stood beside her in public, but the warmth was gone. Nights once spent together were now often apart. The press, which had once softened its stance on her, turned ruthless. Old scandals resurfaced. Former palace staff came forward, painting her in a less than flattering light. Headlines grew more critical by the day. The holiday season only magnified the distance. The traditional Christmas photograph, where she once stood at the center, now placed her at the edge. At royal dinners, she no longer sat among key family members. Even her grandchildren spent the holidays elsewhere. As weeks passed, she withdrew further, her public appearances dwindling. The palace released a statement claiming she was taking time for personal matters, but few believed it. The defining moment came during preparations for a state dinner. The grand hall was being arranged, seating plans meticulously placed. But when she looked toward the head of the table, her chair was missing. The throne that had always been beside the king was gone. When she asked for an explanation, a royal official offered only a vague response: protocol adjustment. No further discussion was needed. The message was clear. For years, she had fought for acceptance, overcoming hostility to secure her place. Now, within months, it had all unraveled. The palace halls, once hers to command, felt foreign. Those who once feared her sharp words now whispered about her in hushed tones. She spent hours in her rooms, looking at old photographs, clinging to memories of when she mattered. And as her presence faded, the world's focus shifted. All eyes were now on Kate Middleton, the composed woman from Berkshire who had once been doubted, dismissed as too ordinary for the royal family. But now she was stepping forward. A new order had begun to take shape. Kate Middleton's rise, a subtle yet powerful transformation. In a time of shifting royal protocols, Kate Middleton quietly stepped into a more prominent role, her presence growing in ways both subtle and undeniable. Initially, the changes were barely perceptible. A newfound confidence in her stride, a voice that carried greater authority in family discussions. But as weeks turned into months, it became evident that she was embracing her responsibilities with renewed determination. Her schedule filled quickly. focusing on causes close to her heart: children's welfare, early education, and support for military families. Everywhere she went, she connected with people on a personal level, engaging with warmth and sincerity. Inside the palace, her influence became increasingly apparent. She moved her office closer to the king, a space traditionally reserved for senior royals, and built a team that introduced modern perspectives into the institution. Meetings, once defined by rigid formalities, became collaborative discussions. Financial matters, royal protocols, and long-term strategic planning, topics once overlooked, now had her attention. Kate and William grew stronger as a team, attending events side by side, their quiet exchanges noticed by many. Insiders saw William valuing her input on key family decisions. Unlike past royals, Kate made the monarchy more accessible, opening palace gardens for community events and breaking down barriers so charity workers and the public could reach her without layers of protocol. George, Charlotte, and Louis took on a greater role in charity, assembling food packages, planting trees, and supporting underprivileged communities, reshaping the royal family's image as more relatable and engaged. Kate leveraged technology to modernize royal communication, using social media to spotlight early childhood development and reach millions. Live video discussions fostered global connections, making her initiatives more accessible than ever. Carole Middleton, Kate's mother, emerged as a quiet but significant force in this transformation. Once criticized for her middle-class background, Carole's business acumen and sharp instincts became invaluable assets. Her influence on Kate had been shaping her long before she entered royal life. It was Carole who helped Kate navigate the complexities of public scrutiny, reinforcing the importance of resilience and composure. Kate's journey had not been without challenges. Her relationship with William had faced its share of trials, including their brief 2007 breakup. But even then, Carole's guidance played a key role. She ensured that Kate remained poised, making strategic public appearances that subtly signaled confidence rather than heartbreak. This calculated approach ultimately worked, leading to their reunion and eventual engagement in 2010. Over time, Kate's presence in the royal family became more than just symbolic. Under her influence, the institution began a quiet transformation, one that reflected her modern values, strong work ethic, and deep understanding of the public's expectations. But what do you think? Was Carole Middleton the mastermind behind Kate's royal transformation? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe.